Welcome back to another episode of Sound Pals Go to the Movies. Today I'll be reviewing the movie Killers of the Flower Moon. So just a fair warning, there's going to be spoilers up ahead, so you've been warned. When oil is discovered in 1920s Oklahoma under Osage Nation land, the Osage people are murdered one by one until the FBI steps in to unravel the mystery. So let's begin with my first pro. Martin Scorsese finally gets to tell the story of the Osage people. Before this movie, I personally never heard of the events in history that this story had to tell. I am sure that it got buried in the bad side of the US history books. There are so many events in the US history that have a dark side that even if it's historical, there are some that would rather bury it and not speak of it. But good for Scorsese for bringing light to this event to show that sometimes the US is not the land of dreams, especially if you are a minority. Next pro, the acting in the film is top notch, especially from Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio, but one that took the cake was Lily Gladstone. She was amazing, and to accomplish that with limited lines is even more incredible. So now we wait for her Oscar nomination for her work in this film. I think there will be more nominations for this film under other categories, so we'll wait for those too. Next pro is to highlight those categories that I feel that might get Oscar nominations. I feel that the nominations will go to Robert Prieto for cinematography and photography and Thelma Shoemaker for editing. These two people together made some scenes in the film feel like a work of art. One scene in particular that stood out was close to the end where Robert De Niro's character's land is on fire and his workers are moving around, but the scene is filmed in such a way that the heat waves from the fire makes the figures blurry, but it also looks like a painting in motion, and the editing adds something extra to it. Next pro is the point of view which we see the film from. For other films, it can be seen from the detective, investigator, or the government officials, or maybe a third party. But here we see it from Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Ernest Burkhart, and Lily Gladstone's character, Molly. So we are privy to some of the schemes and information that William Hale is planning since Ernest is present in those scenes. By having this view, we are aware of everything that is being done to the tribe, adding us as witnesses to the killings. Next pro is how the film includes the tribe's beliefs, such as if seeing an owl is a premonition of death, or when Molly's mother is dying, she sees her ancestors coming to help her guide her into the afterlife. This, along with the introduction of the tribe ceremonies, is almost like a history lesson on the tribe and lets us feel connected to them. Same goes when William Hale gives Ernest the book on the Osage people and he reads it out loud. He is telling us about them so we and him get a better understanding of their ways. Now on to my cons. So this one can be both a con and a pro. The length of the film, for some people who love Scorsese's films, they won't mind it as much since it is his style where he fills in the time with scenes that always have something to contribute to the overall story. But some people who are not really patient will think this film is a bit too long and might not like it at the end. So that's why I said that it can be both a con and a pro. Personally, I might meet in the middle and trim some of the time off and make the film under 3 hours to satisfy both groups. Next con is the character Ernest. He says he loves Molly, but at the same time he is working with his uncle to wipe the tribe out. Then later he doesn't believe his uncle is capable of such things. I was like, okay, is he blind or is he just dumb that he doesn't see his uncle's crimes being committed in front of him? His uncle even tells Ernest to make sure the hit on Molly's sister happens, but still looks the other way and doesn't want to believe it. I understand Molly's point of view that she suspects Ernest and his uncle of having something to do with the murders, but her love for Ernest makes her blind and she doesn't want to believe it, which we do see with her by standing next to him even after he's arrested. But Ernest to play the I don't believe my uncle is a bad person card just felt weird. I would have preferred if he was in on it and would just tell himself that as long as Molly is kept alive, he can live with knowing of all the other murders and that his uncle was behind them. Next con would be I wanted to know more of Ernest at the end instead of the sudden change to the radio drama format. But I will admit the transition and how Scorsese did it works very well and I did enjoy it. I just wanted to see that Ernest did open his eyes at the end and understood that his uncle was a bad person along with his brother. I know it's based on real events and changing someone's real point of view or feelings doesn't really lend well to telling stories. I just felt that there was no final resolve for Ernest. Next con, I did notice that some scenes had audio replacement afterwards. It was not that they added the lines or removed something, but just that it stood out like a sore thumb. Some lines from Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio stood out so much that I was wondering who was in charge of the quality control and let that slide. I mean, some of the lines when Robert De Niro delivered them, you can tell when the other line was added. It was a different pitch tone and just felt out of place. I mean, we are talking about a Scorsese film here, not a student film where something like that can slip by. Last con, I wanted subtitles when characters spoke in their native language. Instead, I felt that they picked the scenes where they added the subtitles and not for others. I felt left out when this took place and I really wanted to know what they were talking about. Even though some of the scenes you can get the feel for it, but I really wanted to read the subtitles. So my grade for this movie is going to be a 7.5 out of 10. I praise this film for bringing light to something that some might not like to talk about or bring attention to, but if we learn about genocides from all around the world in history class, why is this not taught in our schools since it happened in our own backyard? This will help people open their eyes and wonder what else are we not being taught. But I will take off some points for the character Ernest being ignorant towards his uncles and brothers' schemes, and for the bad job in adding the post-dialogue lines that really made me shake my head. It's a Scorsese film, first of all. This can really happen, but overall, great film. A bit too long for some, but I highly recommend this, and most likely is going to get some nominations for the Oscars. So that does it for this review of Killers of the Flower Moon. Please join us next time where we're going to review Five Nights at Freddy's.
Welcome to Freddy's. Have you met them yet?
Met who?
Foxy, Bonnie, Chica, and Freddy.
Please like, comment, and subscribe. You can find our social media links below. And like always, keep watching movies.